I've watched you for many years from the press gallery in Holyrood, barracking your opponents, giving them a hard time, shouting at them. Do you take some responsibility, personally, for the polarisation of politics which you have described?
I've obviously contributed to that, James. Yes, of course I have. And I look at politics today, and I think politics is in the worst state I've ever seen it in my lengthy involvement in politics. So I'm here to do something about that, to change that, so we can have an open and honest and respectful dialogue in Scotland about what the future holds for us, what the future should be. And I'm very clear what I think the future should be. I'm also equally clear I won't get that by shouting at people. I'll get that by persuading people. And that's what I'm committing myself to do. Now, of course, you will all be able to observe. You've all heard these words. You'll be able to hold me to what I've said today, but I intend to stick with it. Right.
Are you a change candidate, or are you about continuity? And if it is about change, what has Humza Yousaf been getting wrong?
Well, I'm looking forward, David. I'm looking forward to everything. I'm looking forward to being SNP leader. I'm looking forward to hopefully parliamentary support tomorrow to become the First Minister of my country, and I'm looking forward to leading a government that will change lives. So I'm looking forward. I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward. And in terms of, I don't think I could have been clearer in all I've said in the last few days, that I recognise things have got to change. We've got to do things differently. We've got to behave differently towards other political parties. We've got to behave differently within Parliament. We've got to behave differently with the people of Scotland to find the solutions to the complex, difficult problems that we face in our society today. And I'm ready to embrace that challenge. Conor Gillis.
First of all, congratulations, John Swinney. You said in your speech there that you will properly listen to members. Is that an admission that Nicola Sturgeon and Humza Yousaf failed in that mission? And just secondly, if you don't mind, you mentioned Kate Forbes there. Is she the person in this government that you will lead with all of the authority and none of the responsibility?
In terms of the point about engaging with the party, I made clear in my comments, I've had a lengthy involvement in the Scottish National Party. I started off as the custodian of the party's internal democracy. I know how it's run and how it should be run. I held the office that Lorna now holds many years ago with great pride. So I know how internal democracy in the party should operate and how we can have proper discussions where we engage people in addressing the difficult issues that we face, the complex policy challenges that we face, and how we talk through arriving at a solution. Because once you do that, then people will accept that you've had a good process of discussion and agreement. So that's what people will get from me in the period going forward. And in relation to Kate Forbes, well, I want to make sure that I have a strong team that is able to lead the Scottish Government. I have made it very clear that Kate will have a big role to play in that, she'll, along with many other people. So we'll all be individually and collectively responsible for the prospects of the SNP government, for the Scottish National Party and for the country. And that's a great privilege and we'll all share it.
Thanks, John Swinney, and congratulations. You are now leader of the SNP. You'll be First Minister probably tomorrow. You've talked a lot about bringing in ideas. I just wondered, what is your one big policy idea that you will now put forward now you're leader of the country?
Well, my principal policy interest, the thing I'm determined to do, is to eradicate child poverty in Scotland. That will be, observe what we do in the period going forward. Because if I am the privilege to be selected as First Minister tomorrow, I will start focusing the government on maximising what we can do within our powers to eradicate child poverty. It is a curse, and under my leadership, I want to eradicate it in Scotland. Dan.
Thanks, John. Congratulations. Kate Forbes has said that in response to the last SNP budget, that continually increasing taxes is counterproductive because it ultimately reduces public revenue. I just wonder if you share her analysis. Apparently, the progressive taxation might have gone too far? And as part of the move back to the centre, which you've spoken about, would you look at perhaps cutting income tax in future budgets? Thank you.
You'll forgive me if I don't craft the Scottish Government's budget at this podium this afternoon. I think that would be just a bit on the rash side of things, even for me. I think there's a crucial word in the question you put to me there, Dan, that was coming from Kate's point of view, which is, or Kate's comments, is the word continually. Because continually you cannot keep on increasing taxation. You've got to make the right tax judgments in the right context and the right circumstances. And that's what I think the Scottish Government has done, because what we've done is use the powers which were acquired through the Smith Commission, which I was very much instrumental in securing for the Parliament, to enable us to get to a position where people who are on higher incomes are able to make more of a contribution to the public finances. We can lower the burden for those at lower ends of the spectrum, but that everybody benefits from the social contract that we make available to people in Scotland. So somebody who's on a high income in Scotland will be able, if their child comes to this university, to come here without paying tuition fees. That's a huge benefit to people within our country, and that's available to people whether you're in a low-income household or a high-income household. The difference, of course, is that you pay more in, reflecting your income. So these are some of the sensitive judgments we've got to make. But what I'm certain about is that the effect of that's been speculated about the tax changes that have been made in Scotland, as the evidence is now showing, have not substantiated the opposition taunts that have been set out in this respect, and that actually more people are coming to Scotland as contributors to our economy than are leaving Scotland as contributors to our economy. And I think that gives you the evidence you need about the effect of tax changes within Scotland. You're last.
Thanks, John. Congratulations. Both your predecessors in their respective resignation speeches talked about the brutality of politics and the toll it took on their mental health. Why are you putting yourself through this?
Well, maybe we should have got to that question a bit sooner in this process than the last question. I recognise, it's funny what you don't always see things as obviously as you might think. But last year, when I stood down as a long-serving minister, 16 years as a minister, I didn't realise how physically and emotionally exhausted I was, because I was just going at 100 miles an hour all the time. And when I stopped, I became aware how physically and mentally exhausted I was. So, although I've worked hard, you've even written an article about how I worked hard in a committee of the Scottish Parliament, which I was very appreciative of you for those nice words that you wrote about me there. Although I've been doing different things, so today I'm now physically and mentally rested and ready for what lies ahead. And I can't tell you, I hope I've made clear to you today how much of a privilege and an honour it is to be asked to be leader of my party, and tomorrow to hopefully be elected as the First Minister of Scotland. And that inspiration and that opportunity will fuel me through the challenges that lie ahead. Thank you all very much.